So once again, welcome to this channel. And today it's all about setting intentions and setting goals so that not only you can get your period back, but you can restore your hormones, you can get pregnant, or you can get your period after babies or in between babies. Okay, so it's all gonna be about you and how to go back to your healthy self, or how to be your healthy self if you're already that very close to achieving the life and the health that you wanted to have for the longest time. So first of all, I think that it's important to understand where you are right now in time and space. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that you're going to visit New York for the very first time. So you're in your hotel, and then all of a sudden you just leave the reception. You're out on the street. It's very noisy. There are messages coming from everywhere. There is the police siren, taxi driving past you, people walking so fast, blaring lights, smoke, noise, and you don't know where you are. So you don't know where you're going. What's the first thing that you need to find out in that occasion? In that occasion, the first thing that you need to find out is where you are. And only after you understand where you are, then you can pick up a map and you can look for directions, or you can ask someone. Because sometimes we jump to conclusion and we jump to help. So for example, you have this very unclear idea of what you would like your 2024 to look like. And I'm going to make a completely different example. Let's say, for example, that this year you want to make $1 million, okay? And the first thing that you do is just finding help, or going to someone and ask them, okay, just make sure that I become a millionaire. And that person is going to ask you, yeah, but what do you do? What do you like? What have you done until now? And if you don't have that very clear in your brain, it's going to be very, very hard to get to the next level. So coming back to that place that it's in a New York reception, it's inside the hotel, and it's really wanting to go to Central Park, for example. Okay, where are you now? Are you in Midtown? Are you in Greenwich? Are you in Little Italy? I haven't been to New York for such a long time that it's really hard to coming up with this metaphor right now. But the point is, where are you now? Where do you find yourself in this time? And I'm not talking about location. I'm talking about your well-being. So your emotional response, your physicality, your spirituality, is your bucket full? Is your bucket half empty? Is your bucket needing to be filled up? And it has been feeling this way for a very long time. So the question is going to be, what do you want? And where are you now? I'm going to give you an example of my HAED infertility days. I remember that in 2016, I started the year thinking, this is the year that I'm going to have a baby. But I didn't know where I was in time. I didn't know where I was in space. The reality is that I wanted to have a baby ASAP, okay? And that's where one of the biggest downfalls of people when setting intentions and setting goals. We think that we only have a couple of months to achieve them, but the reality is that we have all year. So sometimes we find ourselves in a place where we want to get pregnant by the end of January or by the end of February, because we feel that we have already implemented so many changes. But the reality is that you can set the intention for the whole year. This year, I'm going to do the best that I can, not only to get the period back and to get pregnant, but to be in a position where I can actually welcome a baby. So for example, if you're in a super stressful job, if you're in an unsafe location, if you don't get on well with your partner, those are all things that can be not necessarily changed, but that you can work on before the end of the year, so that you can find yourself in the best position to welcome a baby in your life. Because you can do all the fertility diets that you want, you can take all the supplements, you can make sure that you get your period back and you get 3 consecutive periods and your cycle is the right length. But the reality is that if you're still shutting yourself down from the inside, if you're still perceiving that incredible stress that it may be caused by feeling unsafe in general, your body is really going to resonate with that. It's going to resonate with that energy. And it's really hard to have a baby when your body is normally on a fight and flight. So going back to myself in 2016, I really wanted to have a baby, and that's the only thing that I knew. So like most people do nowadays, I went to see a naturopath, and I got completely loaded with supplements. But the reality is that my mind was very unclear. So I went to the naturopath, letting her know I want to get pregnant. And so what she did, she followed her protocol. If a woman wants to be pregnant and she is in this age bracket, then she's going to have optimal results if she takes this amount of supplements. But the reality is that there was so much else going on inside of me. I was working my ass off. I was a marketing manager in the tourism industry, and I was traveling 6 months out of 12. And at the same time, I was a uni studying dietetics, because dietetics has been my dream since I was 10 years of age. And so finally, I'm embodying that. And I was not eating enough. I was not sleeping enough. I wasn't really overtraining, but I was moving my body a lot. But because I didn't have that conversation with her, then she couldn't help me from that perspective. I didn't have clarity, so I couldn't really give her clarity in what I needed to move forward and to make things happen. So the first thing that I invite you to do is to really sit down and think, where am I now? What do I want from this year? But where am I? Which kind of help do I need to get to that place? Which kind of changes shall I make to get to that place? Not in a faster way, but in a holistic, life-changing type of way. The second thing that I want you to think about, and as I said before, you can pause this video and then you can return to it a little bit later, is what do I want to leave behind? What did I do in 2023 that didn't allow me to become the person, that woman that I've wanted to be for a long time? What do I want to leave behind in 2023, from 2023? And maybe for some of you, it could be disordered behaviors around food, skipping breakfast, going to the gym a little bit too often, stepping on the scale, not sharing what you're dealing with the people that you love the most, being in a state where you are always talking to yourself in a very negative and derogative way, even thinking that life is too hard, thinking that it's not gonna happen to you. That's already something else and something big that we need to work through if you want to change the way that you live your life in 2024. Because changing here is not going to change you. It's not going to change the person that you are. So for example, let's say that in 2023, you spent much time with the disordered behaviors that didn't make you feel great. And then you get to the end of 2023 and you said, okay, I'm done. I'm a new person in 24. I'm so not going to do it. But you don't put the step in place to avoid that from happening. You don't even trust, you don't even believe, you don't even tell yourself that in 2024, you're going to be able to achieve those steps. And most of all, if you decide to stop at behaviors and then it's the first 8 days in 24 and you tell yourself, see, I've already engaged in that behavior, I'm a failure, that's a down. It's you missing the point. You have the whole 24, as I said before, to let go of that behaviors. But what can you do in January to make sure that in December 24, you're going to be in a different situation? So the question is, what do I want to leave behind from last year? And the follow-up question is also, but what do I want to bring from last year? So let's say, for example, that you started coaching and that you really enjoyed it. You really enjoyed being able to speak with someone that could really resonate with you in so many different levels. Or let's say that you joined the HA community and you really enjoyed being part of that community of like-minded women that were really supportive with each other. Let's say you started going to sleep at 9:30, or let's say that you stopped going to the gym and you started dancing Zumba, and that makes you feel really, really happy. So what are the things that you would like to bring from the new year? For me specifically, is definitely the gratitude practice. I've always brushed through gratitude, not really realizing how much of an impact it can have on our day-to-day life, not only our life, but also the life of the people around us. And that's something that I'm going to bring with me in 2024, 2025, and hopefully until the rest of our days. Because since I've welcomed gratitude, my stress response has halved. Okay. Whenever I am in a state of not liking the situation where I'm in, whenever I get really self-deprecating thoughts, whenever I invite in, because sometimes we invite them in, we allow them in, thoughts about scarcity and fear, I try to switch into gratitude as much as possible. Because when I welcome gratitude, then all of a sudden, those fearful thoughts have definitely less power. And the more that I practice gratitude, the less fearful than I am, then the better my body is going to respond, and the happier the people around me are going to be, especially my husband. But so one big question here is not only what do you want to leave behind, because 2023 wasn't such a bad year. Yes, bad things may have happened, hurtful things that make you reconsider yourself as a person, but not all of it was bad. So what are the things that you would like to bring into the new year that you learn in 2023 or 2022? And you think that have some value, that you wanna continue developing them, that you wanna continue working on them because they allow you to grow as well. So write it down. What is it for you? And then one last thing that I wanted to ask you. Well, two more things actually. How do you want to feel in January 2025? So what do you want to see happening in January 2025? Last year, January 23, I saw a client for the first time. Lovely, lovely woman. She was full of fear, completely immersed in disorder behaviors. She hadn't had a period for a very long time, and she desperately wanted to have a child. What I gave her more than anything was hope. Obviously, I also gave her tools. I changed her diet slightly. I invited her to take a few supplements. I invited her to learn coping strategies to avoid some of the disorder behaviors. I did all of that, like I do for all the women that are working with me. But I think that more than anything, what resonated with her was hope and having someone to open her heart with without any judgment, because she was very closed off from society. She didn't want to tell anyone the suffering that she was in, even though she was a very social butterfly surrounded by so much love. She sent me the most beautiful email a week ago. I found myself crying for a long period of time. And she told me that the things that she wanted the most in January 2023 is now in her arms in 2024. Not only that, she's not engaging in the same behaviors any longer. She's not having the same thoughts any longer. So a question for you is, what do you want to achieve 1 year from now? Because going back to becoming a millionaire, for example, let's say that you want to make this $1 million. Why? What's the difference? What are you going to do with it? How is that going to make you feel? You're not going to be happy because you have $1 million in your bank account. Possibly you're going to be able to buy stuff to feel safer, to feel more secure, but it's not going to buy you happiness. If also something else that you want is to get your period back, that $1 million is not going to get your period back. Yeah, you can take some medications, but still your body's going to be in the same depleted state. So what do you want the most? What do you want the most? What do you want to achieve the most in the next 12 months? Make a list. Make a list so then you can start tackling it. Let's say, for example, that you want to stop counting calories. How much time are you going to give yourself to stop engaging in that behavior? A week, 2 weeks, a month, the whole year? And if you give yourself 6 months, how are you going to start tackling it today, right now? What's the next step that you're going to make? Because that's also something very important. You can manifest and visualize your future self as much as you want, but you need to put the steps in place, which is why when I work with people, I love to give them proven steps to follow and customized protocols that they can stick to, because I know that they're going to see a difference if they make that happen, if they make space, if they allow themselves to treat themselves with grace and with self-care and compassion. Okay? Because self-care for you, maybe, is not a bubble bath. It can be to allow yourself to have a snack when you're feeling hungry. Okay? So even that, even if you want to let go of hunger in 2024, your own hunger, remember that hunger can be mental, can be physical, can also be psychological, and can be emotional. So how are you going to let go of hunger this year? Which kind of changes are you going to make? What do you see yourself improving and growing? What's the next step that you're going to take starting today? And if it's super unclear to you, well, that maybe it's a really good idea to reach out and to find someone that can support you this year so that you don't fall back into old routine and you do the same thing. I was about to swear, but I stopped myself from doing so. That you're not going to do the same thing that you did last year. And last but not least, what's your contingency plan? Meaning, if things don't work out, what are you going to do? Because the reality is that when we have so many ideas and when we start a new year, we want so much beauty, so much joy to happen. And we have all the hope that we can make it real. So let's say, for example, that you want to stop counting calories. Let's go back to that example that we may all resonate with. And then after 3 weeks of not counting calories, you step on the scale and you notice that you have gained weight. Your jeans, they don't fit you any longer. And you know that's what you need as well, because if you don't have a period, chances are that you are highly stressed, undernourished, overtrained, or that you have another conditions going on. But what are you going to do in this situation? Are you going to go back to counting calories because it feels safer, because that's what you did in 2023 and it gives you a false sense of security? Because that's what it is. Counting calories just really lull you into this false sense of security. Okay, so what I really invite you to think of is also your contingency plan. What am I gonna do when things are not gonna work out the way that I hope they were gonna go? So for example, if I wanna get my period back, but I saw my body changing, and so I gave up. Okay, what are you gonna do in that situation? And that's why in the period comeback protocol, we really touch point with all these little things, because first of all, you have the customized approach. Secondly, you have the mindset work. Thirdly, you have the community that you can share things with, what you can get support from. And fourth, we have the accountability, the weekly accountability through Q&A, through the support coach, through the group calls, through the chats with me on Facebook. Okay. So if you really want this year to be your year where you try whatever you can to make your reality come true, I invite you to start today. Start today from picturing yourself in that beautiful New York, in that messy, noisy New York, and thinking, I need to find out where I am today so that I can take the next step tonight or tomorrow. And possibly that's all you need to do today. Get clarity on where you are. Get clarity on what you want to leave behind for 2023. Get clarity on what you would like to bring from 2023. Some of the things that you learned that are really making a difference into your life. And also Decide where you want to go, what do you want to do, how you want to feel in 12 months from now. And after you do all this beautiful work, find out if you need a contingency plan, if you need a plan that it's going to keep you on track when things go not as well as you plan them to go. Okay? So welcome to this fantastic, incredible new year. You have so much opportunities, so much possibilities in front of you. Don't get too hung up into the specifics. That's my job. The how to is my job. For you right now, it's more about understanding, where am I? Where do I want to go? And also reminding yourself that you don't have to change a habit within the first couple of weeks of the new year. You have the next 12 months, but just picture yourself in how you want to feel in 12 months from now, and think, okay, if I want to let go of that habit, or if I want to bring the period back, or if I want to get pregnant, these are the things that I need to put in place in January and then February, so that I can continue, so that I can keep on going. And if things don't work out as well as I plan them to, that's what I'm gonna do. I wish you all the best, yeah? If you want to get in touch with me, you absolutely know where to find me. I'm opening my doors for March 2024. So if you want to get in touch with me, please do so today or as soon as possible. And I send you the biggest hug, and always committed to your hormonal health. Bye for now.